My name's Adam Reimnitz. This is the music category. I'm from Denver. I always love coming back to
Welcome to
sunshine.
sunny Florida.
Yeah, I love it. I got to play golf for 2 days before we started, so that was kind of fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed the performance today, guys. Congratulations on such a fun performance, and two really different songs too, which is I really enjoy when groups sing two kind of totally different songs. So anyway, we'll just go through some ideas, some thoughts from the performance. I really enjoyed I Don't Know Why in particular. I thought your approach and with how you sang it, I feel like too many groups treat this song as too much of a rhythm to them, and I just really like the way the tempo you guys chose and how smooth and connected it was through the whole thing was really good. The note I made overall, I think, is I'm not sure this song, even though it's a great song, I think it's on the short side of things, and I'm not sure there's a ton of development opportunities. It's kind of like, I think where your chorus is ready to go is, I would say, to get more into the 70s level of scoring more consistently is to be able to take somebody on more of a more emotional musical journey. And I'm not sure this song really has. Maybe if this song had like another time through it after a key change or something, there was even more there with maybe a different tempo or more of a rubato place at the end or more of a stomp or something. It might have more room to grow, but I don't think this song probably has a lot more.
Yeah, have to agree with that. The way it was chosen was that I sent out a message to barbershop chorus directors, and I said, 62 chorus, we want to do a swing tune in competition. What are your suggestions? And somebody whose opinion I respected very much said, you should do this song because it doesn't have a whole lot of variation on it. And that person happened to be Kevin Keller.
Sure. Outstanding choice for your chorus. I gave it a 69 because you guys handled it so well. Kevin gave it a 70 because you guys did it so well. I think that speaks to, I'm a huge fan of, I think picking music is one of the most important things we do for our groups, whether choruses or quartets. So congratulations on that, first and foremost, is making a great choice, and I think it really paid off. So my main note is just exploiting. I think what you could do right now with it is choose some ways to add even more variety with everything you have there. How does it start with the verse?
My mind is kind of hazy. That's the intro.
So what's something you could do with just that intro up until you get to the first I Don't Know Why section that could add some variety? Or what's something you could do when you get to I Don't Know Why that would give it a slightly different feel when you actually get to the chorus? Excuse me.
Well, what aside from volume dynamics?
Tempo?
It's a swing tune, but you could move the tempo a little bit.
Yeah, you could. I think you could actually play with even making this song a little bit more laid back. Especially when I don't know why I love you. It's a very internal type of song. You just kind of, and that's often that conversation feels very subtle. And I think this just living on the kind of the really, really laid back and relaxed side of things might actually help stretch it a little bit. You might get more bang for your buck. It might just have a slightly different feel to it. So
rather than being an outward song, it's an introspective song. That's how I approached it when I first heard it.
Yeah.
And I loved it right off the bat.
I think so. I think there's a lot to that. So.
And we were on the cusp of like going a little too slow, and it was getting draggy, so we hadn't quite found that sweet spot.
Originally, the learning track for the society has, I think, is too fast.
Yes.
And I had said to everybody, I said, listen to this, but don't get married to it because we're going to do it slower than that.
Yeah.
But then what happened was, and maybe because it was this morning, it was just, well, in the warm-up room, it was just dragging.
Sure.
So I said, so let's pick it up a little bit.
So when it feels too slow, it's probably more about attitude and approach, and that's I think that's where the buy-in is getting everybody to understand how that slower tempo feels without sounding draggy. And I like the idea of having a really agreed upon how are we going to approach this song from the perspective of internal versus outward. Maybe the first half of it can be, because does it have a key change in the second time through where there's like a little patter or something, right?
It's 2 key changes, yeah.
So maybe like the second time through, maybe there's a switch to more of an outward approach where you're actually talking to the other person, versus maybe the first time through is more internal, the second time through could be more external.
Yeah.
Something like that, and maybe that's enough of a shift to add more.
Yeah, if you
another-
recall, we played with that notion of sort of
Yeah.
3 different perspectives, and each time through, we just never followed up on it or reinforced it.
Adam, what do you think about I Can't Give You Anything But Love for us with the way that we're configured right now?
Which
In the align, in the
How does
swing
it-
alignment.
I'm trying to think of the one that I know is the Now That It's Your Birthday.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I love that chart.
I Brigades, yes.
Yeah.
I love that song. I think the chorus could kill that song.
I can't really speak to it. I'm not familiar enough with the music to speak to a level, but it doesn't jump out as a terribly too difficult thing. So, yeah, I love that chart. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's a good idea. At least worth exploring, I think. Yeah. Cool. So, with How Deep Is the Ocean, I think there were just more what I would say technical. I don't know, how new is How Deep Is the Ocean?
We picked them both up probably 6 months ago.
Okay. Yeah, this one just seemed to have more technical things going on, more tuning issues, things
It's
like.
a tough song.
Yeah, it is a tough song. I agree, and the fact that it kind of goes between major and minor, and there's tough things in it to tune. So I agree.
And honestly, we had some late interrupt changes.
Got it.
Beginning of February.
Yeah, and what we've tended to do is we've tended to pick, in competition, one easier song and one harder song to try and,
Sure.
make
With
people
the
step
right
up to
top.
the.
Absolutely, yeah, it's a great idea. I think it's a good song for you guys. I think there's just more here to chew off, and
Yeah.
there are a lot more things to work on with it. I think the good news is I think this could easily score 7 or 8 points higher with just some more technical work.
Yeah.
Tuning, and I'd break it down into a lot of duetting. I'd have the leads and basses do a ton of duetting, and then if you can figure out ways to hold separate sectionals sometimes, occasionally, and do like a tenor lead sectional together and a bass baritone sectional, just that kind of work is what it's going to take to, we hear you guys tuning, especially when you're singing a song like the first one, and it's really pretty, all really well in tune. And then go to a second song when it's not that same degree of precision and cleanliness.
About 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
And would you suggest as a general course, for next competition, be it 6 months from now or a year from now, taking 2 different songs, taking the same songs, maybe taking one of the songs and a new one along with it?
I love that idea. I love that approach. Just what I would suggest, that I would keep How Deep Is the Ocean and work on it and improve it and add another song with it. I try to find
Even though
it.
we scored higher on I Don't Know Why.
Yeah, I just don't know that I don't know why is going to go a lot further.
Oh, I
think-
see. I see.
and
You're
I
saying
think
How Deep
that-
has bigger potential.
I think so. I think How Deep Is the Ocean, I think you guys could score a 75 on it. I think it has potential to score whatever you want it, while I think I Don't Know Why is probably a little bit more limited.
Yeah.
So,
Unless we make some major change to it.
yeah.
Yeah, another 8 weeks on it.
Listen, I think that you have I Don't Know Why in your back pocket as a really good option to bring back, and there's still more work there. I think with the different texture changes and character changes, I think you could make it even better than it is. So I think you have enough work to do on How Deep Is the Ocean that you could spend a good majority of your time working that and still bringing the other one up too. So the other thing I would say with How Deep Is the Ocean is making sure that every guy's invested into the performance and making sure that the singers need to be in charge of the performance, not the director. And that was, it just seemed to be very director driven and different that way from the first song, where the guys seemed to buy in more to performing the first song and not as much invested in performing the second song. And ballads especially, we often think ballads, well, the director needs to direct the ballad. Well, that's true, but the director's more of a guide. You know, I would think about the director, instead of pulling the music out of you, the director is more of just a guide to help you through the spots that you're starting and stopping. But other than that, the guys on the risers really are in charge of the flow and the energy and all that kind of stuff.
The second song's really harder to do in that regard because, I mean, you have to spend the whole song overwrought.
Yeah.
But
You know?
can you elaborate, because if I'm looking at the scores we had in the performance category, How Deep was better than the other?
Yeah, okay, I think that's fair. I think that speaks to that there's just more there's more emotion in the song itself. So I think that allows somebody to sell it easier, but from a technical standpoint, if every guy's more invested, I think a lot of the little glitches, I'm talking about tuning,
Yeah.
execution, sync stuff, connection of phrases, all that stuff is gonna get better. I think the reason that How Deep is scoring well is because there is a deeper story and message there. So I think that even speaks to where it can go, because, man, if you guys improve the singing more on How Deep is the Ocean, the presentation or performance is gonna go up too. So if you guys are getting 70s in performance on that, I mean, imagine what it could be if there's not all the little blips that can take an audience member out of the
We
performance.
never imagined getting these scores.
That's
We
awesome.
it was gonna be a huge win for us if we came out with a 65.
Cool.
That would have been a big win for us.
Yeah.
So this just blows us
Our biggest
away.
Achilles heel has always been presentation.
I think the takeaway from it, guys, is that you're capable of doing it and doing things better than what you even thought, and that whatever you're doing, I would just keep doing whatever you're doing, because obviously, I mean, don't mess with something if it's got you on a great trajectory, you know. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it. So hopefully, a few of these things you're hearing from everybody today will help too. So yeah.
Other low-hanging fruit?
Yeah, I just a couple notes. I said make sure that your softs are not getting to the point where they're unsupported and they don't have the same clarity and ring. I'd always rather hear good sound than hearing too wide of a range of dynamics where they don't ring as much. So careful with that. You can work on softs in warm-ups. You know, I think a good way to do that is just really, really work on establishing where the core sound of the chorus is just really comfortable and solid, and then kind of work yourself down dynamically from there, and just kind of stop where it gets to that point where it's starting to get unsupported. And you can do the other way with louds too. Work up to the place where it's starting to sound a little shouty, and just kind of stop there. Really kind of try to keep expanding where that's at. Yeah.
And I sort of just said that last week, where we have to stop thinking, 2 to 7.
Yeah.
Move it up to 3 to 8.
Yeah.
So the threes are supported.
Yeah, I made a note on both songs that I want to hear even more textures and dynamics now, and development happening, just more from each song. And my note with How Deep is the Ocean was, it seemed like this song was more barely past the notes and words stage more than the first song. That's why it wasn't as high on this song. There was more, you could tell there was a lot more technical thinking and work going on from each guy versus transcending that area and getting into where you're making music and singing the song more.
Performing,
Yeah, does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right on.
Cool, that's pretty much what I've got.
That's good.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because I don't know why it is a song that I don't normally enjoy very much, because I don't think it's ever done very well. And I really enjoy it. It's one of the first times I've actually really enjoyed the song. So
awesome.
congratulations. I mean,
Thank you.
I think it's such a simple arrangement, and I agree with you. I think the learning track is done too quickly, and I really think it's neat that you guys gave yourself the musical freedom to make a decision, like, let's slow this thing down a little bit and make it a more enjoyable piece, and it was really good.
Musical courage.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Thank you very